Welcome to U.S. Immigration TV. On December 31st, 2020, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal upheld President Trump's proclamation requiring people who are immigrating from outside the U.S. to either demonstrate that they will obtain health care insurance within 30 days of arrival in the U.S. or they have sufficient funds to provide for their reasonable medical costs. Now, what does this mean to people who are outside the U.S. and want to immigrate, either through a family petition or an employment-based petition? In this video, I will discuss the effects of this proclamation, and it could possibly mean that many people could be refused their visas unless they can demonstrate they can secure health care coverage or they have enough money to provide for their medical care. Previously, a lower court issued an injunction stopping the proclamation going into effect, but the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal finally ruled that we conclude that the proclamation was within the president's statutory authority and therefore reverse the district court's order enjoining the proclamation's implementation. So what this means is that in addition to all other public charge requirements, the person must also demonstrate that they can obtain qualified medical coverage or they have sufficient funds to provide for their medical care. Now, what was going on was Trump took the position that people who immigrated typically lacked appropriate health care coverage. And what was going on was many of them were going into emergency rooms for regular medical care, overcrowding emergency rooms, as well as requiring taxpayers to foot the bill for their medical care. So Trump said, no. If you want to immigrate from outside the U.S., you better have that health care coverage or show you have enough money to provide for your medical care. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal said that this was an appropriate exercise of presidential power and authority because the immigration laws do provide that the president may suspend the entry of aliens or groups of aliens if he believes that their admission to the U.S. would be detrimental to the interests of the U.S. And so he's saying, yes, having people coming in who are uninsured would be detrimental. So now what does this mean for people? Well, we're going to have to wait for guidance from USCIS, the State Department, as to what could constitute appropriate medical coverage, how you're going to be able to obtain that. But what could possibly start happening is that perhaps many older or sickly people could possibly be refused visas based on this medical coverage. I mean, this is a development. Now, what can happen possibly is Biden could issue his own proclamation, canceling this out or providing that this is not detrimental to U.S. interests. Maybe the court could reconsider or overturn this decision. But this is developing news. And what I would suggest is that you, of course, like, share, and subscribe to this channel as well as push for notifications because there are changes happening in immigration law constantly, both with Trump issuing these proclamations and executive actions. Even though he's about to go out of office, he's still issuing these proclamations. The courts are still upholding these proclamations. They're causing confusion and adding a new layer of complexity. And it's often hard to figure out what is going on. What I want to do with this channel is provide you with the latest news, explain in plain English what it means. What are your choices? What are your options? What are the changes? So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I'm Michael Gerfinkel, and this is U.S. Immigration TV.